Batman's fucking around in the Batcave, whatever he does when he's, messing around on his own time, and he's screwing with the
jerking off. He's with all those monitors, he's jerking off.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Nerd You're Looking For podcast, a weekly nerd culture podcast that discusses nerddom through various segments. My name is Tyler Hunt, and I'm here with my co-host, Pat Kuhn. How's it going, man?
It's going really well. It feels like it's been forever, man. It's so weird because we only skipped 1 week,
I know.
But just when you do something weekly for years, I mean, we skip every once in a while, but very, very rarely do we skip. It just seems like there was like a little piece of me missing this past week. I mean, I went to Comic-Con, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was the reason that we had to skip last week, and that was awesome. But it was just kind of weird not doing something that you do every single week.
Yeah, it's hard to believe we used to be bi-weekly.
Yeah.
It's like, how did I ever struggle to have anything to say? Because I got to stew on it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And, it's something that was definitely missing from my routine last week. And I'm glad to be back.
For sure. Like I said, I went to Comic-Con last weekend, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Just briefly, Charlie Cox got his autograph. That was kind of the big one for me. Unfortunately, a couple of people canceled like right before Comic-Con, like Sean Astin. He canceled, which was kind of a big deal for me because I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan.
What does that dude have going on?
I guess he was overseas is what they said on the post. I just read whatever they posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
They replaced him with Val Kilmer, which, I mean, yeah, he played Batman, and I'm supposed to be excited for that, but I mean, $80 for an autograph is pretty ridiculous, even for a big star like that. Honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of his Batman anyways.
No.
I was more of a fan of him in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, to be honest with you. But so I wasn't that excited about him. And then unfortunately, Millie Bobby Brown, she was only going to be there Sunday, and we were only going to be there Saturday. So that was kind of a bummer. I was looking forward to her, but Charlie Cox, super, super cool guy. Like, the coolest. He actually talked to us for like a couple of minutes, which is like a minute and a half longer than he necessarily needed to. Like, I was super surprised. Like, he chit-chatted with me and my wife. Like, we were out of town for our anniversary. It was our 4-year anniversary. And it just so happened to be that same weekend. So we were just like, well, let's go to Indy, because we were kind of having a hard time where we wanted to go for our anniversary. And so it just so happened Comic-Con was that weekend. So we decided to go there. And I met a couple of my buddies. Unfortunately, Tyler couldn't come with. That would have been just even better. But yeah, so he was kind of chit-chatting with us, and he found out just through the conversation that it was our anniversary. So he actually wrote on my pop figure happy anniversary, which we're convinced that he may have spelled it wrong, but he kind of just jotted it down so you can't really read it. There's enough letters in there, but we're not quite sure if they're in the right order.
You should have thrown it back at him and said, I wanted you to just put Charlie Cox.
No, he actually asked, and I was like, yeah, that'd be cool as shit, because I'm never going to sell any of this stuff.
No, never.
I typically, if they ask, I have them write my name on it. I know a lot of collectors don't want to do that because they intend to sell it, but this is stuff that, I mean, I'm not a collector. Like, I collect stuff, but not like to make money or anything like that. I just do it because I enjoy these people's work, and I enjoy going to the cons. And I mean, I have a Yoga Hosers poster sitting right next to me. I have very little desire to ever watch that movie again. It's a really big poster, but I just look at it and remember that really cool night at Indie PopCon, meeting Kevin Smith and doing all that stuff. So that's kind of the reason I like some of these stuff, and I like getting the autographs. So, I always have them sign my name, and it was just kind of a cool little story that we have now.
Oh, absolutely. I remember not last year's PopCon, but the PopCon before that, Troy Baker was there, and he's going to be there again this year. But I got a Red Hood action figure from Arkham Knight signed by him, and the guy in front of me like went up to him and he was like asking the guy's name to personalize it, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm going to probably sell this." Or he said something really dumb, and Troy Baker kind of gave him a lot of shit for it, and he's like, "So tell me what your name is, man." And he told him his name, and he wrote the dude's name on it and gave it back to him. But why would it just blows my mind. I mean, I guess I get it. You can turn it for a profit, but yeah, I'm the same way. Like that stuff I'm going to put in my nerd cave, and I'm going to have to remember those cons and that fun.
Yeah, we actually were walking around, obviously, and looking at all the different booths, and there was a booth that was just that stuff. And some of the stuff, like there was a toy gun that was signed by, I can't even, goddamn, I'm so bad with names. Fuck. Whoever plays the Punisher.
Oh, Thomas Jane?
No, the other one?
John Berthnall.
Yes. I knew his first name was John. God, I wish I was better at names. I promise you that I do that. I don't do that on purpose. And it even has like a little picture of him signing it. And it was like $2,000. Like, holy I have shit. No desire for anything like that. It's not even about the money.
Yeah.
It's the fact that I wasn't there.
Yeah. The only thing that I make an exception for is sometimes Midtown Comics has some. I've
done that as well.
But I am definitely right there with you. I definitely don't hold those things as in high as of regard as I do the stuff that I actually personally got it signed by somebody.
For sure. All right. So we start each episode by kind of just checking in with each other. We call it what we're into. So what are you into this week?
So I've had 2 weeks to basically just, I don't know, catch up on stuff. And one of the shows that I really wanted to catch up on, and I've wanted to catch up on for a while, I think you actually talked about it during season 1 and maybe even during season 2, is Fargo.
Yeah, I fucking love that show.
Yeah, so this show was one that just kind of slipped by, and I had been meaning to go back and watch it for forever, so I decided over these last 2 weeks to go ahead and do that, and I just finished binging season 2 yesterday.
Okay.
And then this afternoon I watched the season 3 premiere.
I have not got to watch that yet. I'm pretty excited.
Not going to spoil it for you, obviously, because I know you're a huge fan, but that is what I'm going to be talking about, is the season 3 premiere of Fargo, which is called The Law of Vacant Places. So in this season, it's pretty well known that Ewan McGregor is starring. He is playing twins that don't see eye to eye. And there's definitely disconnect between the two as it pertains to money, because one twin, the one is named Emmett, I believe. He's well-to-do and clearly has a lot of money, has his life together. However, I mean, it's kind of shown later on, maybe he's involved with the mob a little bit in a bad way, but I'm sure they'll explore that more over the next 9 episodes. The other brother, the more interesting brother to me, at least so far through episode 1, is Ray. And if you've seen the previews, Ray is the one that looks a little white trashier.
Sure.
He's down on his luck. He's actually a parole officer, and they highlight like his job as being basically a piss collector. There's like a montage of his job, and it's just piss after piss after piss, and it's pretty funny. But in his job, he met his current girlfriend, whose name is Nikki. She's played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Since he met her at work, it's a given pretty much that she is a criminal. He met her because he is her parole officer.
Which I'm sure is frowned upon.
Yeah, I don't know that that's probably something that they like too much. But besides the story going on with these two brothers, we're also introduced in a kind of side story to a cop. I believe she's the chief of police, actually. Her name is Gloria. And we kind of get a small peek into her family life. And I mean, it's obvious she's going to play a big part in this season, but you don't really get to know her and her son too much in this episode. I can't remember the actress's name that plays her, but it's Ben Affleck's sister in Gone Girl.
Okay.
And she's really great in that movie, so I'm excited to see her in this season of Fargo. So that's all I'm going to say about this episode as far as plot goes, because again, I don't want to spoil too much. I was really excited going into this season for Ewan McGregor, because I just think he's a fantastic actor, and I thought it'd be awesome to see him on this cool show. But I'm actually, after the first episode, most impressed with Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She nails the Minnesota accent.
Yeah.
And Ewan McGregor struggles with it a little bit. And her character, you can tell, is going to be a huge part of the season, and I'm really excited for it. What I love about this show is that it doesn't force feed you things. You have to use context clues to kind of piece together relationships and what's going on. It doesn't just say, hey, these two characters are twins, and you put it together, and you put their relationship together. It doesn't just spell it all out for you, but it kind of gets put together over the course of the season. I'm really excited to see how this season plays out, and I'm hoping at some point it connects to season 1 and season 2, but they might be just doing a standalone thing. I don't know that it have any callbacks or not.
Yeah, season 1 and season 2 do have a very loose connection, but yeah, I think the show, one of the things that is so great about it, one of the many things that I like so much about it, is it doesn't necessarily have big stars, but it has a lot of great character actors, guys that I mean, of course, I think Billy Bob Thornton was in the second season, so I mean, obviously he's pretty famous, but they have some lesser known actors that are just they use so well. They're kind of right in their comfort zone. Now, Ewan McGregor, probably his accent work is not the best. I mean, he's talked on previous occasions about kind of struggling with the French accent in Beauty and the Beast, so it's not probably something that he necessarily does super well, so I'm surprised that they went with him. But yeah, I just really like how this show has all those really good actors playing kind of in their wheelhouse.
So do you prefer the first season with where it's like 2006, or do you prefer the second season that you see Lou's backstory as a cop in the 70s?
I kind of like the feel of the second season, but I mean the first season I think is better as far as the story is concerned, but I definitely like the feel of the second season.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat for sure. I like the story of the first season better, but I thought that season 2 was better put together, if that makes sense.
Did you like the alien thing in season 2?
It caught me off guard. Like, I must have missed it in that first episode, and whenever I tie back around to it in episode 9, I was like, what the fuck is going on? So,
yeah, and I mean, they kind of don't really, like, it's not a focal point of the season.
Not at all.
Yeah, so I just thought it was kind of a weird thing that they threw in the second season.
It didn't bother me, but I did
think
not
it was
at all. A little weird. All right, dude, what are you into?
All right, so obviously we try not to bring it up too much, but Tyler and I are both big sports fans. I'm actually starting, I think I talked about this last episode a couple of weeks ago, I'm starting to be a guest on the Brewers View, which is actually starting this week. I think my episode, the way they record it is they just record Sunday and I think Wednesday, and they actually put out episodes every single day, Monday through Friday, which is crazy to me. They're like half-an-hour episodes, and they break it down by like a sports. I'm going to be one of the football guys, so I'm going to be recording on Sunday nights, and I think my episode comes out on Tuesday, so tomorrow when this episode drops. So yeah, we try not to bring it up too much in this podcast just because nerd culture and sports don't always mix very well, but I am a huge sports fan and a huge Chicago Bears sports fan. I'm also a big fan of documentaries. I've talked about that the last couple of years. I've been becoming more of a fan of that particular genre, and luckily there is a new ESPN kind of documentary series called We the Fans, which actually follows the season ticket holders of section 250 of Soldier Field. So it's just all Bears fans,
so right
obviously.
up your alley.
Yeah, exactly. So I am a huge fan of these football docs, like Hard Knocks or All or Nothing, which is I think it was called All or Nothing, the Amazon series that followed the Cardinals a couple of years ago. I really like those shows, but those shows, for me at least, I never really cared about the teams. It was just kind of cool because they kind of gave you more insight into the players and into football. Like I said, I'm a huge football fan, so I can really get into that. What I've liked about this show, because I've only watched the first 4 episodes, because that's all I can watch on Watch ESPN right now, but is that it kind of comes from a different angle, because it's not necessarily about the team. It's more about the fans of the team and fandom. So I think this show is it's a lot different than those shows, is that you can still relate to it. Maybe if you're a Packers fan, that would probably get pretty annoying. But if you're a Packers fan, you're probably not listening to this podcast because you're a douchebag. But anyways, Yeah, so I think that you can relate. Even nerds, I think, could relate to this show because it's just about fandom, and
Yeah.
so it's about something that you may not relate to, but at least you can relate. Because I mean, sports fans are basically just nerds of that team.
Hmm.
So I definitely think that they could relate. Unfortunately, they followed him last season, which was like the worst season I think that I've seen in a really, really long time. It was I think one of the reasons, and I mean, they don't say this in the show, but I know a lot of people were kind of picking them last year as kind of a dark horse, a team that in the NFL, it's kind of known for its parity and that teams that are bad one year can kind of flip the script and be good really quickly. Their rebuilds are super, super quick in the NFL. And I know people were kind of picking them to do really well or surprise people last season. Kind of went the other way, and it was again one of the worst seasons I've seen in a long time. And so it's kind of tough to watch this because they basically break it down by the season ticket holders and they kind of follow each group, but they also they break down the episodes by the games. And so you kind of recapping some of the games and getting those fans' reactions to the games. And it's pretty tough.
I would imagine.
Yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars, which for those longtime listeners, that's the mustache game last year, where I made a bet with my buddy who's a Jaguars fan that we were going to shave our beards to mustaches. I lost that. That was a really tough episode to watch because I kept remembering because they were winning that entire game until like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And I was really excited because I thought Jeff was going to have to shave his beard into a mustache. He was going to look awful, but instead I looked awful for like a month. But yeah, it's kind of tough to watch, but you still appreciate the show because of the fans, and you can kind of relate to that. And obviously, I can relate because I am those people. Obviously, I've only been to one game at Soldier Field, but I mean, I can relate as a fan of the Bears.
Yeah, I really hope that this documentary series doesn't end with somebody going postal or something. That'd just be disappointing.
I mean, I think they've done a good job so far. One episode which kind of bugged me was they kind of focused on this couple and they're getting married. And it was right as the Cubs were going to the World Series, and obviously they won last year. And I think they just assume because you're a Chicago Bears fan that you're also going to be a fan of the Cubs. I'm a Pittsburgh Pirates fan who happen to be in the same division, so I kind of hate the Cubs. So watching them kind of get all up excited and all that stuff for the Cubs going to the World Series was kind of disappointing. Like I was like, I don't really care about this. So that episode wasn't crazy, but I mean, you still kind of relate to these people, and I can still, even though again, I don't like the Cubs, I do like the Bears, and I kind of feel like my wife and I have a similar relationship to this particular relationship because she doesn't really get into the things that I get into, but she supports the fact that I'm into it. I think that's kind of their relationship too. Like, she doesn't care about the Bears or the Cubs, but she kind of lets him be him and understands. I mean, she gets annoyed in the show. You see her getting a little bit annoyed, but I think that I can see a lot of my wife and I as a relationship in their relationship. So it's kind of fun that way.
Yeah, dude. Sounds good.
All right, so our next segment is just plainly called Comics. Tyler and I read a ton of comics each week. We like to spotlight one or two, so what'd you read?
So there were kind of two event comics that came out this week, and I asked you what you were talking about, anticipating you talking about one of them.
Yep, the Marvel one.
Yeah, so I went with the other one, and that is Batman 21. Which starts a Batman Flash crossover that centers around like the biggest cliffhanger from the Rebirth event last year.
Yep.
Which is the Watchmen pin that was found in the Batcave at the end of that comic. So in this issue, the I Am Bane storyline has wrapped up. Batman's fucking around in the Batcave, whatever he does when he's, messing around on his own time, and he's screwing with the
jerking off. He's with all those monitors, he's jerking off. One of those monitors is strictly porn.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be. So Batman's screwing around with the pin. He's just messing with it again, and basically he drops it, or he sits it down, and it touches Psycho Pirate's mask, and which is left over from the Iron Bane story, which we talked about a little bit, and it has a reaction, and so Batman kind of freaks out a little bit. Well, Batman never freaks out, but he's basically briefly visited, and I don't want to get too spoilery because I saw the comic book store didn't have it when you went to pick it up. So
yes, I went to secret headquarters in Evansville, and it's a little bit closer to my house, and I was running a little bit late at work, so I was like, I want to get home a little bit quicker, so I went there, and of course they were sold out because they don't quite have the selection that Comic Quest does. So luckily I have it as part of my pull list at Comic Quest, so it'll be waiting for me next week, so I'm not too worried about it.
I won't spoil anything, but the reaction actually brings a character to the current universe that you wouldn't expect to see, and it gives Batman a note. Batman contacts the Flash to let him know. Flash is in the middle of a fight and says he'll be there in exactly 1 minute. And right at that point, you see a tear in the Speed Force, and Batman assumes it's the Flash, and he's just early, but it's a surprise villain that shows up, and we're treated to a multi-page fight between Batman and the surprise villain. And the whole time, what's cool is in each panel, in the bottom right-hand corner, there's like a timer ticking down from 1 minute to 0 where the Flash is going to show up. So basically, Batman just has to last that 1 minute. And it's super cool to see Batman in this villain fight because it's not a fight you would typically see. And again, I'm being vague on what the villain is, but it's a really cool showdown. Things escalate in the final few pages, and I'm definitely not going to spoil anything. But it's really cool what they set up, and it's a really cool intro into what this crossover is going to explore with the whole concept of the Watchmen, I suppose. I went into this Batman run, this written by Tom King. It's 21 issues in now, and I didn't know much about Tom King, and I'm going to admit, I scoffed, and I was like, no one's going to ever be better than Snyder, and he's definitely not better than Snyder. He's definitely not Scott Snyder, but I have enjoyed more issues than I've disliked. And,
sure.
And that's got to be a tough gig to pick up from, the very successful run that Snyder and Capullo did. So I'm definitely excited to see where this one goes, and I'm just excited to see the Flash side of it, and then, how it all just kind of ties up as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I haven't read this issue, obviously, but the Psycho-Pirate thing just kind of rubs me the wrong way, so I'm just not a fan of that particular character. And
as soon as I saw his mask, I'm like, oh, well, they lost Pat.
Yeah, he's just super heavy-handed with it. But, I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I know I've kind of ranted about these, like, multi-book crossovers before on the podcast, so I'm going to obviously sound like a hypocrite. But I'm actually really excited for this because I read both of these books, so it's pretty cool.
It's cool when you read both of the books, but whenever you don't, it's a pain in the ass. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right, man, what'd you read this week? Oh,
well, I mean,
know what you read, but...
I picked up Secret Empire issue 0. Obviously, a lot has been made of Cap's recent move to Hydra. Well, they're saying it's not necessarily recent. He's always been with Hydra, but whatever. Tyler obviously talked about it a few episodes ago. He talked about Captain America Steve Rogers. Secret Empire is kind of the event that brings what's happening in that particular book to kind of the forefront of Marvel. We've talked about this before on past episodes. Issue 0s are kind of just usually like additional reading, just kind of setting you up for that event. And it's not even like necessary to read them because issue 1 is still going to give you the most important setup.
Yeah.
Like I said, issue 0s are usually just kind of additional reading for that book or that event, whatever. Surprisingly, this one had a lot going on in it. There was a lot of moving parts. There was a lot of action. It was really, really good for an issue 0. Like, I was pleasantly surprised because I don't expect too much because it's doing is setting it up for this big event. They're not going to really do a whole lot because they expect too many people to pick it up. Like, you're going to pick up the first issue if you're a big comic book guy, but you might not pick up the 0 issue. So they're definitely not going to do a whole lot in these issues, but there was a lot to this issue. There was a lot of moving parts. I was just really, really surprised. I mean, it did everything that you would expect a Zero issue to do, but it also kind of went above and beyond, and I was really, really pleasantly surprised with it. I'm curious to see. I'm still really pessimistic that this whole Captain America Hydra thing is going to actually stick. And so I am curious to see how they're going to wiggle their way out of it, because they seemed pretty committed to it, but I just feel like...
How many issues did you read of Steve Rogers?
I have not read a single issue. I know that you've said that they've kind of backpedaled a little bit, but just judging by this particular issue, Zero issue, I mean, they're going all in, man.
Yeah, they explain in issue 2 of Captain America Steve Rogers why he's with Hydra. And I mean, at this point, like, you're not going to go back and read it, right?
No, like, I'm not going to.
So basically,
for sure.
And I mean, it's been out at this point for almost a year, but the Cosmic Cube is taken the form of a little girl, I guess, named Kobiek, or I might be pronouncing that wrong, but basically she's rewritten history. So yes, Captain America is Hydra, and yes, he has these memories and whatever. Other people have those memories as well, but it's not real.
Okay.
I guess. I don't know if she altered time and it is real, or if she implanted these memories in everyone. I might have missed that, or that might have not been explained, but basically it's not saying, like, if you go back and read Captain America from the 80s, he was with Hydra at that point. Nothing like that. So,
but what I'm saying is, like, just judging by, I haven't read any of that.
Yeah.
I know, because I follow comics, what happened. Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but just judging by this particular issue, he seems pretty hardcore about it.
Oh, no, he is. I mean, he's super hardcore about it, because he believed, like, his whole being has been shaped by these memories, which may or may not have happened. I can't remember, like I said, but in his mind, he's always been Hydra since he was, young, even pre super soldier serum. So,
okay, interesting.
So I'm excited to see where this goes. I've picked up issue 0. I haven't read it yet, but I was kind of back and forth on the Captain America comic, and I was pretty lukewarm on it when I talked about it a few weeks ago. But I think this is what it should have been leading up to, is like an event with Captain America kind of on the other side of things, and I'm excited to see where they go with it for sure.
Yeah, and I think I heard something, like, you usually get one of these big events in DC and Marvel every about 6 months to a year, and I guess somebody said something from Marvel, one of the higher ups, saying that this is going to be the last one for a while. Like, they didn't give a really a concrete date, but I'd be excited if that was the truth. Like, I mean, you kind of take everything you hear with a grain of salt, but I like when things matter, even if it's stuff that I don't like. Comic books are so fickle that I like when shit sticks. Like, even if it's something that I didn't like. Yeah. Like the Superior Spider-Man, even though I wasn't crazy about what happened and some of the issues were really bad, issue number 9 was one of the worst books I've ever read in my entire life. I just hated that book so much. But some of the other stuff that he did was really cool with the character. And I liked that it went on for a while. And so it mattered. Eventually it didn't matter. And I knew eventually it wasn't going to matter. And they were going to give Peter Parker back. But it was nice that it mattered for a while.
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely am on the same page with you there.
All right. So are you ready for some nerd news?
Yeah. So obviously being out 2 weeks, we missed a lot of stuff. I didn't want to...
Star Wars Celebration for sure.
I know. I didn't want to run down like 10 stories, so I just picked out like some of the bigger ones, and we can go from there. So the first thing was, I believe after it was like the Monday after we recorded. It was early that week. They released the only trailer, I guess, for Thor, the Ragnarok.
Yep.
Did you watch it?
I did. I'm pretty excited for this movie. More excited than I thought I would ever be for a Thor movie, and we've talked about it before, but it was a lot of fun, man. It was exactly what I wanted it to be. It's not exactly Planet Hulk, but it's enough of Planet Hulk, because there's something weird with Marvel. I can't remember the actual details, but they don't really own it.
They don't own like standalone Hulk movies or some weird
so
shit.
So they can't really do a Planet Hulk movie, but this is kind of their version of that story, and I really like that story quite a lot. I plan on probably rewatching it at least once before we go see this movie. And it's so cool. It's so fun to see that character a little less serious.
No, and you would think, because I guess the word Ragnarok and Thor lore, and that rhymed, my bad, is that, you know,
it was
like,
nice.
It's kind of like Doomsday. It's super bad. And then to see this trailer and it be funny and it be fun and all the things that it was, and like the sound, like what song was it again?
It was the Immigrant Song from Led Zeppelin.
That's right. Like it just flowed so well in it. I mean, I think I put it whenever I put the trailer up on our Facebook page, and I said it feels a lot like Guardians, and it does, with like the music and kind of the tone. And I'm sure that's not by accident, but I think a lot of it's whenever it's out, and I think it's going to be successful, which is a lot to say from one trailer. But Taika Waititi, like, there's no way that he didn't make a fun movie, and I think that's what everybody wants.
For sure.
All right, so up next, some casting. Jude Law is going to play young Dumbledore in the Fantastic Beasts sequel.
Yep.
I'm not invested in these movies. We've talked about it. I mean, we reviewed Fantastic Beasts, so of course I'll see the sequel. I don't see Dumbledore there, though.
I don't really like him as an actor. I don't think he's very good, and I've gotten more invested in these movies than I thought I ever would be. Like, it's crazy to think 2 years ago that I would be this invested about these movies. But really, the first one is the reason I got into these movies in the first place. Like, I never would have guessed that I was going to be into this at all. And then I watched the first Fantastic Beasts, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I was like, maybe I should revisit. And that's kind of what started this whole thing. And I've rewatched Fantastic Beasts a couple of times on Blu-ray, and it really holds up. I've watched all the special features. I've really gotten into it. And one thing, now knowing more about the universe, I'm nowhere near some of these other fanboys of the universe, so don't get me wrong. But I know quite a lot about it at this point, more than I thought I ever would. So I knew that Dumbledore would have to eventually be in it, because there's Johnny Depp's character in the first movie. He plays a big part in the Harry Potter universe. Like, Dumbledore kind of comes to fame in the wizarding world because of his fight with Johnny Depp's character.
Oh, really?
So you knew he was going to be in at least one of these movies. So I was curious to see how they were going to do it. And I'm definitely disappointed, at least a tiny bit, in the casting, just because I don't think that Jude Law is a very good actor.
No, I have a hard time. Like, if somebody, like, we've never done this for a nerd favorite, and I don't know that we ever will, but if somebody would have asked me, what's your favorite Jude Law movie? I'd struggle, because he's in some stuff I like, but he's not, it's not his movie.
No,
like, Sherlock Holmes, like, that's
Robert
Downey Jr.'s movie, but I don't think that he delivers much variation in his performances, no matter what the film is. So I'm definitely right there with you. I'm not the biggest Jude Law fan either. Let's see. Josh Brolin was also cast as Cable while we were gone, which was, everybody made a big deal about it because, of course, he's Thanos, which I think is, like, that's not that big of a deal anymore, in my opinion. But I think it's really good casting. Like, for forever, we were talking about, oh, here's the name this week that might be Cable, and his name was never brought up, and it's pretty cool that they were able to secure him, even with, like, the Thanos role, because I think that he has a perfect demeanor for that character.
For sure. And I completely agree with you. I don't think the Thanos thing is that big of a deal, because A, he's not really in those movies that much, and B, I mean, he does the mocap for it, I'm sure, and he also does the voice of it, but it's not like you see it and like, oh, that's Josh Brolin. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And it's still a Marvel character, even though it's Fox. I mean, who cares? At the end of the day, it's still a Marvel character.
I mean, I hate to be morbid, but, if Josh Brolin, heaven forbid, passed away tomorrow, Like, you could still do Thanos and
Yeah.
not really miss a beat. Like, I know that he brings a lot with the character with the motion cap, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But this is more of a front and center role, I would think, as opposed to playing Thanos. So,
and I mean, the Oscars obviously don't think that mocap is acting because Andy Serkis didn't get a nomination for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Still sour grapes. Well, they got their third try this summer with War.
Oh, he's gonna nail it.
Let's see. You mentioned Star Wars Celebration. Man, I'd really like to go to Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, that'd be pretty fucking cool.
But they released the trailer for The Last Jedi, and
Battlefront 2.
I see. I didn't watch the Battlefront 2 trailer.
Really?
But you were talking about it before we started recording. I need to watch it. But The Last Jedi trailer, it kind of got, like, of course people loved it, but it kind of got some backlash because
Really?
Yeah, there was, it doesn't show us anything. But one, I don't want the trailer to show us a bunch of shit.
Exactly.
And two, has everyone forgotten, like, the first trailer for Force Awakens? It shows us, like, literally nothing.
Yeah.
But everybody was really excited about it. Like, the big reveal in that trailer was the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
So I feel like this trailer shows more than that trailer did. So I'm pretty pumped. I was excited for it. Of course, you get to see Luke, and you get to see snippets of other characters. So obviously, I'm super pumped for this movie to come out in December, and I will get another trailer or two before that. But I thought it was a cool teaser.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it 1,000 times, so I won't get into it again. This will be the only trailer that I'll watch of it. At least that's my intention. I probably, because I go see so many movies, I find it very unlikely that that's going to end up being the case, considering this movie still doesn't come out until December. But
yeah, I mean, Thor Ragnarok comes out a month before this movie does, and there's no way Disney won't put something on there.
Yeah, for sure.
So, last thing was something that just broke within the last couple of days, and this one's for you, buddy. X-Files is going to have another 10-episode season or series revival on Fox, which I believe, what do they call it? Event series?
Yeah, I think that's what they're calling it, which I'm super excited about it. Obviously, I did that a couple of years ago where I went through, and that was kind of a nerd gap for me, and I really, really got into this series quite a lot. Kind of the very similar to how I got into Harry Potter, and so I'm kind of more, I feel like I'm more of a fan of the X-Files than I am of Harry Potter, but I really, really love that show. Unfortunately, the most recent kind of event series, mini-series, whatever you want to call it, was a little bit disappointing. It did have one of my favorite episodes of the whole series in it, but unfortunately, there was this really shitty cliffhanger, and I was just so disappointed. It was such a slap in the face that, like, if that was the last episode of the X-Files, like, that's just really shitty. So they had to do this.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited that it's a little bit longer. I think the last season, and I'll say that in quotes, was only 6 episodes, and this is going to be 10 episodes, so I'm really excited about it. They're also going to do an audiobook as well, so I'm pretty excited about that, but I think that's going to be called like a cold case or something like that. I don't remember the exact tagline for that one, but David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson are going to, of course, do the voices for the audiobook, and I'm really excited about that as well.
No, that's awesome, man. It's one of those shows that I was like, man, I should go back and watch that. But I remember when you were watching it from beginning to end, and that just sounds like a giant undertaking that I'm not ready for.
Yeah, it's tough because I want you to watch it, so I don't want to say don't watch it, because I think there's stuff that you would enjoy, but it's an hour long, 23-ish episode, 10 seasons.
Yeah, that's a lot of story, man.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, that is all I have for Nerd News.
All right, so our next segment, we just kind of title the main topic because it changes from episode to episode. We've been reviewing a lot of movies lately, and that trend is going to continue. Unfortunately, we skipped last week And you would think there would be a good movie to talk about because we had 2 weeks to see something. Unfortunately, we're kind of in that weird season in between Oscar season and summer movie season. And so the big movie that was released last week was The Fate of the Furious, and there's really nothing else to talk about. So we were kind of not necessarily forced, but I doubt that either one of us would have seen this movie otherwise. We're going to review Fate of the Furious, which, like I said, was released April 14th, which we're reviewing it a week later than we usually review movies. We usually review it the week that it just came out. But like I said, I was at Indiana Comic-Con, so we're just going to do it this week. This movie was directed by F. Gary Gray, which is kind of a tough name to say. I think he's most known for Straight Outta Compton and Friday, which I actually really like Friday, by the way. It stars Vin Diesel as Dom, who reluctantly turns his back on his gang of criminals to join a cyber terrorism group. So if you guys have what?
I'm sorry. I can't with this movie already. My bad.
You're burying the lead a little bit.
I'm sorry, but I love whenever you do like the synopsis of these movies, and that one was pitch perfect. So.
Anyways, I appreciate that. So if you haven't already gathered, I have not watched a Fast and Furious film since the second one. I think I was like maybe a freshman in high school when that movie came out. So I really couldn't tell you a whole lot about the franchise, and I really don't even remember that much about the two movies that I have seen of the franchise. Guessing by your reaction to my synopsis, you also have never seen any of these movies?
No, not a one. Not even the original.
Really?
Yeah. So this is very uneducated.
So I want to ask you a question. At what point when we were in the theater watching this movie did you realize this was a mistake? Did you even get out of Cuba?
No, I did not. Not at all.
That first race.
Yes.
I was like, this was a mistake.
Pretty much. Honestly, before the race started, there's an attractive Cuban woman that's counting it down, and her ass is very much on display. And at that point, I was like, all right, so this isn't made for me. Not because I don't like attractive women, of course I do, but it was so like they exploited that poor girl much.
And then there was a scene right before that was just ass shots,
ass shaking, ass shots in Cuba. Yeah. I don't know, probably the first time Vin Diesel said a word in this movie, I was like, this isn't for me.
Honestly, because I like Pitch Black so much, that I think sometimes I forget how bad of an actor he really is. Because that movie is really fucking cool.
I haven't seen Pitch Black, and I've heard that it's amazing, and Riddick has its following, but I have not seen it, and I've not seen Triple X either. And
I've seen that movie. Unfortunately, it's not good.
I mean, that's
don't
kind of
see
his
it.
Claim to fame are these few movies. So
yeah, so let's just jump right into broad strokes. Like kind of what Tyler said. This movie is not made for me. Which going into it made my expectations just like as low as they possibly could. It was actually kind of funny. We were walking into the movie and you were kind of complaining about it, like dreading it. Yeah. And honestly, like I was trying to get you to pump your brakes because I thought, well, if we have low expectations, those are the types of scenarios. Like if I'm excited for a movie, everybody does this. So like you get super excited for something. I'm going to be just like over the moon for Star Wars or Planet of the Apes or those types of movies. Like, and if it doesn't live up to it, I might be disappointed. But movies like this where I might get surprised because my expectations are super low and I can just relax and have fun with it. Maybe get something out of it that I didn't expect to. This was like a Lifetime movie. Like if Lifetime was given a huge budget, because all it was just soap opera and car chases. And it neither one were good. Like you didn't do good either way. Like, I mean, even if you complain about the character drama, I think fans of this franchise would be like, well, the car chases were cool. I didn't fucking think the car chase was that cool. Like the many car chases that were in this movie weren't that cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you said, this movie, it just wasn't made for me. Cars don't give me a hard on, unless I guess maybe the Batmobile. But after sitting through this movie, my opinion on the franchise has not changed. And you talked about when we were walking in, and I was already bitching about it.
Yeah.
And my opinion, like, I didn't realize it was so long until, like, I was at the movie theater. I was like, holy shit, this movie is 2 hours and 15 minutes of just testosterone and car chases, and I'm not down for this. But we had already confirmed that we were doing it and that we had to go through with it. So again, after watching this, my opinion of the franchise hasn't changed. I went into it with low expectations, and none of that was changed. So I don't know how fair my review of this is going to be, and I will be honest with that because, again, not familiar with the series at all. But I can't imagine that any of the plot points that this movie hits on are revolutionary for the franchise. It leads me to believe that the series is just basically high-speed car chases and fights strung together by weak plot points and weak characters. For this movie specifically, without comparing it to what the rest of the franchise might look like, this is an extremely weak story. It's poorly acted, no real character development, no real story development. Just, like I said, pure testosterone for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
So, there was a point in this movie where Michelle Rodriguez makes this face, and it's a combination of disgust and confusion, and that is the face that I had on the entire time we were watching this movie.
Is it where she tells Dom you don't turn your back on family?
Yes.
Oh
So, the next little bit of our reviews is we're going to talk about the story. For this movie, it's so simple. The story is so simple that basically the trailer gives you the entire plot, and that's necessarily a bad thing because the movie's so simple that they had to give you something in the trailer. So it's not like I'm really bitching about that. I was actually kind of surprised at the restraint that the writer or writers had with the twist, like, because you see it in the trailer. We're not spoiling anything. I kind of spoiled it in my synopsis. Dom, Vin Diesel's character, turns his back on his group.
It's his family.
There's no more important thing than family. Anyways, he turns his back on them, and the reason that he does it is actually a pretty personal one. It's one that I didn't think was all that well done, but I was thinking that it was going to be something ridiculous, like brainwashing or something just stupid. And it really wasn't. Like they tried to kind of keep it down to earth, at least from that aspect. So I was pleasantly surprised with that. Unfortunately, it was just really dumb, and they planted it pretty hard at the beginning. Like I kind of saw it coming from a mile away. The villain motivations are really pretty weak, and I feel like I say that a lot, and I feel like Hollywood should just start paying attention and making their villains a lot more interesting, because she was just boring as fuck. Like, I did not care. And they had this really, I guess they thought it was going to be dramatic speech where she was going to kind of explain herself, and she was super vague, and the whole idea of what she was doing didn't really make any sense to me, why she was going through this elaborate plan, and then you get this speech and you think that she's going to explain everything, and then she doesn't. She's super vague, and it just didn't really make any sense. And one big thing that I didn't understand in this whole movie, and I kept trying to find reasons for it, is why does she want Dom? Why at what point does his skill set, why does it have to be him?
No, I never got that.
Like the zombie car thing, like he goes in after that happens. So it could have been any thug that did that.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it to be him. It actually makes less sense for it to be him because he turns his back on his family. They come chase them, and it seems like they're a pain in her ass the entire movie. So if she had just gotten just some random thug, some mercenary, it seemed like it would have been a lot easier for her. There was never a point where I thought, okay, that's why she picked him. There was never a point during this whole movie that it made any sense why she went through this whole elaborate scheme to have him do this thing for her.
No, I mean, I completely agree. After, like, I understand you're 8 movies into this franchise, and after 8 movies, you have to find new challenges for the characters.
Sure.
And that's the route they went for that, with that, but it doesn't make a lot of sense in the long run. You have, and I hate to belittle an audience for something, but it seems like the people that love this movie and make these movies the big successes that they are, do it for the cars and the explosions. And again, I don't want to offend anybody that likes these movies, but that's the gist I get from it, because there's no way that you go to these movies for the stories. Like, the trailers show Dom going bad again. It's very well known that he goes bad in this movie, but the web that's spun to explain it just doesn't make sense. And Charlize Theron, who is, I mean, we'll get to it in performances, but she was like one of the things I was actually looking forward to in this movie. Like, she can't save it. Like, we'll get to that, but there's no plot development in this movie. No character arc. I mean, look at The Rock and Jason Statham in this movie. When they're in prison, they hate each other, and they're talking about how they're going to rip each other's throats out. And then, like, in 2 scenes later, they're just pretty cool with each other. And,
yeah.
And they're laughing at each other, and it's like a joke now. So, in all fairness, I had again been binging Fargo, which is like a plot and story mecca. But, like, this is just whole movie, plot-wise, just seemed foolish.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, again, take it with a grain of salt, because we haven't seen, I mean, I haven't seen one of these movies in at least a decade.
Yeah. And
you've never seen one of these movies. So I'm sure there was parts of this movie, like any franchise, if you're just jumping into the 9th movie, which is crazy to me that this franchise has had 9 movies. But you just can't jump in, and as a creator, like, you have to assume at a certain point when you're creating one of these movies that somebody has seen some of this. And so us going in there, some of this stuff we just went over our heads because we have never seen the franchise. Like, the twist with Dom, that probably hit harder with some hardcore fans because maybe they know that character more than I had. No idea who that character was. I kind of knew his main group, but that was about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to touch too much on performances, but,
I mean, that's where we're going right now.
Yeah, I mean, Vin Diesel doesn't do a lot to get you to the point where you feel like you know Dom either.
Yeah, for sure. So, moving right along to performances, I want to start off with a positive. I really like The Rock. I think he might not be the best actor, but I think he's just a really fun entertainer. I don't like some of the movies that he does, but that's beside the point.
I mean, Baywatch looks like a big pile of garbage.
Yeah, it's like they wanted to make another 21 Jump Street,
and it doesn't look like they're gonna pull it off. We'll see.
But I will say that the girls' soccer game was really, really fun. I liked that quite a lot.
I'm not gonna lie. So I was bitter, and I was trying my hardest not to even emote. But you were sitting next to me laughing, and I'm like, well, I mean, it is kind of funny. It's cute.
That was the funnest part of this movie by far. And those girls in that soccer game, far and away, were the best actresses in this movie.
I'd agree. I definitely agree with you that the only charisma that was brought to this movie came from The Rock. And,
oh, yeah, for sure.
The material just sucked, and there wasn't that much that he could do with it, but he damn near tried his hardest. So
yeah, for sure. I can't decide, now that I've gotten the positive out of the way, I can't decide who I hated more in this movie, Michelle Rodriguez or Vin Diesel. It is really, really tough because they were both just god awful in this movie.
I mean, it's an easier decision for me because Vin Diesel had more to do and he did not do it. And
yeah,
I despised his performance in this movie, but I agree with you. Michelle Rodriguez is bad, and there's, she's still in these movies because she got lucky 15 years ago when they put the first one out, or however long it was. And so she's a name, she can always rely on her Fast and Furious paycheck from year to year. But yeah, there's a reason why she's not working a whole lot out in anything else.
Again, she barely did anything in this movie. She just basically smiled and had a stank face the whole time.
I mean, if you can't get your one line out, you don't turn your back on your family without being able to be ridiculed for it. Like, I don't know.
I mean, nobody else was good in this movie other than The Rock. Like, I mean, he wasn't great in it. Other than that soccer scene, I thought he was really, really good. I don't think it was directed very well. Like even the shot where it's just a close up on him, and you could tell they were playing with you.
Oh yeah, I knew from the get go that I'm like, he's talking to like kids or something.
Yeah, you could just tell by the way they were playing it up. But and I blame the director on that one, just the way it was, the scene was set. But anyways, other than him, there was really nobody in this movie that was any good. The fact that Helen Mirren is in this movie it's a fucking crime. Did I say her name wrong? Is that why you looked at me?
No.
I have no confidence whatsoever that I'm going to say
you're right.
Anybody's name right. Like, she's barely in this movie, though.
No. Well, even, like, why at this point are Ludacris and Tyrese, right? Is his name? Like, they did absolutely nothing in this movie. Like, and Tyrese is supposed to be the comedy relief, I gathered. But nothing in there where it was funny. Like,
no.
Like, he couldn't deliver it. And I hate to harp on Vin Diesel more, but his performance in this movie makes him come across as a smug asswipe. Like, even, like, I know that he's quote unquote bad part of the movie, but even like towards the end, where he's like giving a speech to his quote unquote family again.
Yeah.
He comes across as a prick, kind of like, I wouldn't want to be friends or family with this guy or work with this guy. He seems like he's a douche. And I don't think that that's what they were going for. I think that's Vin Diesel.
Yeah. He's just really bad. And it's weird because like when you do something, as long as he's done something, you would thought he would get better at it. Like, I mean, it's just like anything else. Like, you do something, you get better at it. He doesn't seem like he has.
No, at least he has the I am Groot thing going for him because, I mean, that's about all he's good at is saying those 3 words.
For sure. So, the last segment that we do in some reviews, action is just like with action movies, we obviously have to talk about that. And with this movie, it's really just about the car chases, and we've talked about it already. Car chases, just, I mean, we're not the audience for it, so take obviously all of this with a grain of salt, but I just wasn't impressed. Like, I mean, it's the 9th movie, so you do have to kind of grade on a curve. They've pretty much done all the real cool car chases at this point. The zombie thing was really fucking stupid.
Yeah,
I mean, it had no stakes.
No.
And so it didn't do anything for me. The submarine thing, I guess, was kind of cool. The thing that I thought was the coolest part was the prison. That was maybe the highlight of the action. But that was mostly because The Rock is just so badass.
See, I would agree. Like, I got the most enjoyment out of the prison riot, but they treat The Rock like he's this video game character. Like, he hits somebody and they fly 20 feet, and he's just...
But he's a big fucking dude.
He's The Rock. I get it, but I feel like even if he hit me, I wouldn't fly across your yard, you know?
Yeah, you would. You're a little bitch.
Like, these guys had riot gear on, and he's just cracking skulls. Like, I don't know. I like, it was fun. Don't get me wrong, but it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
For sure. But, I mean, none of this is supposed to make sense.
Like, I didn't think the car chases and the car action was as poorly shot as you said it was, but my problem with it was that I was not invested in any of it.
Yeah.
So it was just really boring.
So this is something that maybe it's explained in the other movies, but for me, from what I understand, Dom is just like a criminal. Like, he's just like a thug.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, he's tough, and he probably has grown up fighting, but there's a particular scene towards the end where he's fighting what we're led to believe, whether whatever his training is, we don't really know. But I would assume some kind of special forces or some actual trained killer, and he just destroys him.
Yeah.
Pretty easily. Like, it's not even really much of a contest. And I was thinking to myself, that's not how that would go down. This guy would whoop his ass pretty easily. Like, it would be ridiculous. Also, shortly after that scene, Dom, spoiler alert, comes and kind of reintroduces himself to his gang again and kind of saves the day. And they're just chill with him.
Yeah, they don't ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, I know of. And then they cut, of course, and they're all happy. And I'm sure there's an in between those two scenes where he's obviously explaining what happened, and they understand where he was coming from and all that good stuff. But at that moment, how would you know?
Yeah.
And it also bothers me that, and I'm just remembering things, like they talk to each other while they're in the cars. Do they have radios? Like, yeah. I don't understand.
Just fucking tell them what's going on, man. Like,
yeah,
it's pretty simple. Like, it's not this convoluted, like you said, it's not a convoluted, crazy thing that makes him go bad. Like, he could get his point across with like 3 words.
Yeah. I don't know. But, yeah, star rating, obviously, it's not going to be high.
No, I mean, I'm going to give it 1 star. And I feel bad because, like, this is a movie that is put together. And for that, maybe it deserves more. And I'm not being fair to their fan base at all because I'm not familiar with the franchise. But for me, being an outside viewer going into this movie, it was a hot, steaming pile of garbage. And I can't give it higher than that.
Easily the worst movie I've seen this year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
1 star, and I think that might be the lowest I've ever given a movie. Maybe I gave Rocky Horror the Do the Time Warp Again, or whatever that bullshit movie was.
I say you gave it 1.5.
Maybe.
I'd have to go back and listen, but yeah, I think that's
or just go to our website, the Nerds Podcast, and click on Nerd Reviews.
There you go. Great job.
But yeah, I'm going to give it 1, and that's, I mean, if it's not the lowest, it's tied for the lowest that I've ever given a movie.
I'd be excited to see if anything beats this out for worst movie of the year at the end of the year.
I mean, I don't know. That's the thing, like, usually movies that I think are the worst are movies that I had some kind of expectation for.
Yeah, I get that.
Like, last year was Rocky Horror for me, and I was just so angry that they redid that movie, and I mean, I'm not going to go into why I don't like that movie again, but just listen to our review. But yeah, so those are typically the movies that I'll pick, the movies that I have the most expectation going in for. Oh, and obviously, sure. I've talked a bunch about how I had very little expectations, but it's almost worse though, because I had so low expectations and you didn't even fulfill those.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so our last segment each episode is just plainly called Nerd Favorite. Tyler and I take turns each week asking each other what our favorite blank is. Obviously, the subject changes from episode to episode. So what is your question this week?
So this week, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I just want to know what your favorite moment of the Last Jedi trailer was. So I will go first. There is a brief scene in the trailer that the camera's kind of circling around this island that Luke and Rey are on, and you see from a distance Rey swinging that lightsaber around and Luke standing on watching, and that was an awesome tease for what I'm most excited about for this movie, which is to see Rey train with Luke. Whenever I go back and watch The Force Awakens, which I do quite often, I still get chills whenever she reaches out Kylo's reaching out for the lightsaber, and it goes past him and Rey catches it. And she lights that bad boy up, and I love seeing her with that blue lightsaber, with the history that it has. So seeing that again in this trailer and her just swinging it around and training was awesome, and I'm really looking forward to what The Last Jedi brings in that regard. So that's my favorite moment. What is yours?
Well, I'll kind of answer it a little bit differently, but I'll answer your question, but the first thing that kind of pops into my mind is the fact that, like you said, it's a pure teaser trailer. There's not a ton that we know about it. which I always appreciate that. But to kind of pick my favorite moment from the trailer is the fact that you get to see Poe and BB-8 together, because you don't really see a ton of that in The Force Awakens. And I just think that's a cool relationship that I want to see more of. I love BB-8. I have a little BB-8 droid that I got for Christmas a couple of years ago that's really, really cool that I probably don't play with as much as I should. But I really would like to see that relationship kind of explored more in some of these future films.
Awesome, man.
All right, cool. So that's it for episode 137, I think, or maybe 138. I don't remember where we're at right now. But as always, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. They're both at The Nerds Podcast. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Google+. Vote for us for Podcast of the Month at podcastland.com. Comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our Twitch channel, which Tyler does a weekly stream Monday at 9 p.m. Central. Subscribe, rate, review us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, basically any good podcatcher you use, we're on it. You can also email us at thenerdyourlookingfor@gmail.com. For Patrick Kuhn,
Tyler Hunt.
We are The Nerd You're Looking For. Take it easy, guys.
Later, guys.